We're back. And I want to announce next speaker. It's Erick Wendel. He's a software consultant and community co-organizer on Brazil. And he is named by Microsoft as most valuable professional as specialist in Node.js and JavaScript applications. Erick is a software independent architect where help companies to make better and cheaper applications using services, container-based applications, and hybrid cloud solutions. Erick has experience speaking and teaching on the biggest conferences in Brazil and the Americas, working as a volunteer leader of Node.br, JavaScript, Paulo, and Nerd communities. So I know that Erick hears me and ready to get my screen, and the screen is yours.
Hello, my friends. Can you hear me well? I'm Erick. I'm from Brazil, and I'm super excited to be part of this huge event. This is something that we should do more, like making more cross-country events. Today, I just opening my slide deck, but before I will just introduce something. And today I'm gonna talk about Node.js Streams, which is one of the best features, in my opinion. What is I like it more in Node.js, and I will try to show you a few examples that we don't usually see in documentation or on YouTube or in common examples. I will bring some real examples from the world. So I'm just sharing my screen. All of this presentation will be available for you later. Okay, let me just open it. Perfect. Okay, so I was already introduced, so let's just get started. So Node.js Streams, and Node.js Streams is basically something to handle event flow, to handle data flow on continuous data. So all of the research that I said before is already on GitHub or my slides. I will put all these references and what I use to make this talk at the end of this presentation. You can look and don't lose anything. Okay, Node.js. Node.js is amazing. Node.js is stable and it works well. And I've heard people saying, oh, Node.js is not for this. Node.js is not for that. And actually senior developers from Java, from C#, they come and say, oh man, JavaScript is a single threaded language and is not for serious thing, and for that is not working well. And for someone who heard this first, they said, oh my god, I spent a lot of time learning this shit and I cannot learn anymore and I cannot do anything. I should go to other language. So this is super awful. Okay, I'm gonna show you an example, a real example from my customers and how they handle image files or files in general. So this is the server, and this server, you have a Node.js application, and they will download the file from like 100 gigabytes from a server, and they must download to a local environment. Then they have to save this file on a temp file, which spends a lot of storage on my server. Okay, after this is stored on my file, I have to download again or just use like read file to my application, and then process these parts to a JSON and save to an external file. See, we use a lot of RAM right here because we have 5 GB in memory.
Erick, do you hear me? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's Jane, yeah. You have now, as a presenter at our screen, maybe can you click in the full screen on your presentation at laptop? Because we saw all your comments. It's like a spoiler for us.
Oh, no way. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Okay. I was like, no, this is like magic. Okay. Again. There we go.
Yeah, super,
But you
super
can see
nice.
that yeah, but you can see I wasn't reading anything. It's just for supporting my stuff. Okay, there I go. So don't do this. We use a lot of resources. We use storage and RAM, and we had to process in memory, and we could face a lot of problems. First time I saw this architecture, I was like, "What? What are you doing, man? This is not Python. This is not Java. You cannot do this in a single thread event loop. So this is hard to manage." But before we move on, let's keep in mind a few concepts. You should avoid some loops in memory. So this would block your event loop. It would block your Node.js. There are other approaches that you could follow. In this approach, if something happens on your download, so your download 5 gigs and then something happened, your network is not working anymore, and you have to restart from scratch again and do anything again. So this is maybe is not the good approach for this. And if the application crashed, the error handling here is hard because you have the whole file and you're handling the whole file in memory. So you have to know where you stopped and which is the index of the file. So my opinion is that is something better to make. And if you need more storage, you saw like I just used the temp file in my PC, so this is not auto managed. And then if I just lose storage, I have to remember to delete this file and restart the process again. Let's talk about Node.js Streams. Node.js Streams is a scary feature on Node.js. A lot of people avoid using them because they think it's hard or there's not enough documentation about it. And they think, oh, this is new. But no, this is not new. Node.js is Node.js Streams is there since the V0, actually the 2010 version. So this is actually happening a long time ago, and all actually core features of Node use a lot of events and the strings to handle all the main data. Okay, so let's get started with some jargons in Node.js and all of this new word for you if you never saw before. So imagine that we have a file right here, and this file we will read using Node.js Stream. So we will read this data on demand, and when I read this data, I call this on a buffer. And the buffer, they will have, I will split the buffer in chunks. So the chunks is every piece of this buffer, and I could process every of this piece on demand. So I just could send to other functions, and as long as the data is coming, I could just go through or pass through this data to other functions and then parse to JSON or map fields and then insert the data at the end as well. So this is super straightforward in this case. But if you may have seen this kind of class, so it's just an event using events module on Node.js. So they are listeners, they are event emitters, so you can just send data right there or receive data right there. And all of these concepts on Node.js Streams is based on events. So I will show you more events, but if you're not familiar with, this could clear a little bit. So I just listen for events, and I can emit data to these events. Strings are there are some kinds of strings or categories of strings that you could see. And first time I saw the docs wasn't that nice for me because I couldn't make the difference through all of this stuff. So let's go first what is happening right now. So readable streams is actually the data source. So where you come your data. Oh, your data is come from a CSV, or your data is come from a database, or just a download or a video stream. Okay, we can push data, and this push data will trigger an event, which is data. We can emit error, and this error will emit other event right here. And if you emit push, it will be close, and then we finish our string. Really easier to this case. We have also transform strings. This is where we process data. This is where we map off our fields. So we read data from a readable string, we can parse them, but look at this example. In the example, there is JSON files and not comma right there because it's each chunk. Each JSON right here will be a chunk for me, and I will process them totally independently. Okay, I will have this data from the birth year. I will process and get actually the age. And then I could transform this data at the end. So the transform is to map the data or process or make validations. We have also writable streams. Writable streams are usually used to output. Maybe you could have outputs on CSV files or other kind of files on a database, send data to a queue, or they actually output. Okay, we have duplex streams in which follow the both of the interface and events, but actually they are two different streams. So I'm gonna show you an example later that will be clear for you. But imagine that we have a file, and this file will be a readable string. So actually, I will use a readable string to read a file to split the chunks. I will just output to a writable string and show on the logs. And then I could read data from a readable string and just have a writable string on my duplex. And then the duplex will send the data to a CSV. See, this is both functions, but it's completely independently. So this is one does not affect the other one. To make clear, imagine we have a socket with two PCs or two users connected. One side send an event, and then the other side receive the event, and the other side emit event, and then the blue side receive the event. This is super common on socket IO thing or just sockets in Node.js. But take a look here. We have a socket emit. When I emit on the blue side wasn't triggered. The socket.on wasn't receiving any data because it will emit to the other string. They are not connected in this case. Okay, we saw that I showed some examples, but sounds like stream is not for everything. Yeah, I think there's some cases that we could use. It actually will help you a lot to make this, in which is to download files on demand, actually processing data on demand. So if you have to handle huge CSV files or files in general or JSON files, if you want to stream video and parse video on demand or just stream video for many customers, or to remote access. So you could write like a team viewer app using streams and send images and get commands go and back. This is super nice. Okay, let's go to the demo to see how it works in practice because this is just a few concepts. So first of all, we have listeners. So I'm creating a readable streams, and as I said, the readable streams is the data who send data or just emit data from the source. So in this case, I have all events for the flow, like when I resume, when I pause, when it ends, when it closes. I have listeners for the outcome as well. The outcomes here would be an error or a message, and I could parse them, and then actually have the processment. So I can push data, pause, and control all of the flow. This is super nice. And if you run, you could see that the order is a little bit different than you read in the file. So this is a little bit different. Also, when you look at the docs or a few examples on the Google, you could find like using create write string from FS or write string from FS. This is super nice. Right here, we could specify the chunk size. So here I'm just specifying 100 bytes, and I read actually this current file. And I will print out all of this file on my output. So see on the outputs, I have 3 events triggered. So because I just split the chunk in more sites. So this is super nice. Okay, Node.js is not for large files, okay? Okay, I'm gonna read a file from an infinite file on Linux, which is the dev random. So it never stops from keying data, we can read data a lot, and actually we can use iterators on Node.js. So this you can work with without using events like putting events, actually declaring events right here. You could use iterators as well. And if you run this, look at this output. This is amazing. You can see all buffer coming, how many bytes is coming. This is super nice. Okay, writable streams. Writable streams, as I said, is for outputs. So we can have actually the listeners to control the event flow, and then we can actually write the data, and I'm right here on the CSV, which will be my output. And then after all, I will just print out what is going on this event. So if I run, I have the output, I have the CSV right there happening. So nice. Okay. But that is not looking something that we do in production. In production will be a bit different. Okay, in production, we pipe strings. So as a pipe, we have to control the whole flow. So passing a lot of steps and controlling the flow using strings. Okay, using Node.js, here I have a little bit more sophisticated example. So I'm using the transform from the strings module. I just didn't got the dependencies, and I just submit a little bit of code right here, but you can see on GitHub the whole code as well. So using transform, we use to process data and to map data. So right here, I'm processing. So for each text that will come from this string, I will parse to a string, remove the spaces, and then I will just create a string and with the CMD and when it happens. Super nice. And then I will just use process.stdin to get the data from the terminal. So my user will write some commands on the terminal. From each command, I will parse there, I will transform this data, and with the outcome, I will put or I will just print out on my CSV file, or my log file, actually, in this case. Okay, let's see the results. So I'm just writing a few commands. That is nice. I just stopped my file. When I stopped running, it will generate actually my logger file right there. This is super nice, and we can receive data on demand. But look, it just happened when I stopped the program. So I just processing on demand, but we should see how it's working right there. Okay, time to go deeply. So imagine we have a CSV file and we want to read this file and parse a little stuff right there. So here we have a transform code, and I will do a processing right here. I will do a validation right here. So if the age is invalid, I will just block the whole process and say, oh, this CSV is invalid, so it mustn't run again. And look here, Anna has the birth year, which is invalid, so it won't work when we run this code. And then with the chunks, which is valid, we will just keep going on the flow. Okay, and I will run a writable stream right here, and this writable stream will just print out the chunk that they received from the transform. Okay, here I will just use pipe, which is using the CSV to JSON, which is a third part, a library to parse CSV to JSON. I will get this result, which is JSON. I will parse it to my transform. So my transform will got this piece of data, which will be the chunk, which will be like the line of the CSV, and we'll map this data and show the output. If you run this code, see, Eric runs well, Mary runs well, super well, but Anna should show some error. And there you go. There is an error, but this is 100 errors. So maybe we should attach something to handle errors. Okay, when you should attach errors, we start looking at a few troubles. The first time is, okay, pipe is an event. Pipe, I could see the errors right there. And okay, I will just attach or just listen for errors right there. So for each step, I will put like error. So if it's like on the step or the CSV, I will show that is an error on CSV, on my page, or on the show output. This actually works. So if you run, it works. But seeing production work with teams, remembering to put all of the event listeners for errors looks, I don't know, looks so ugly to make, and that is not something usual to do. What actually we could do is to use the pipeline function from the streams. So right here, I'm just promisifying this function from callback to promise. And then I could use now try-cat, and I can use like, I can have the error right there on the pipeline to understand where is the problem. And then after the whole pipeline will be executed, I will have the finished result right here. If I run this code, we can see which is the same result, it's the same value at the end, but you can see to manage this code, to create this code, it's super straightforward comparing to the other approach. Okay, that is something polemic to talk. Promises versus strings. Uh, if you work with only promises approach, you may think, okay, it's working. Sometimes it's spend a little bit more time to work on there, or sometimes it's fine for me. I shouldn't make any change in that code. I'm gonna show you two examples, which is I brought actually from the real world as well. So in the first example, I will download 200 gigabytes from the AWS services, which is S3. And from this whole file, I will just get the body and send to a file on my local storage. So I just download it, I wait for the download, and I save on the output.csv, right? Okay, so I'm gonna run this code. It's running, and I just download in 4 minutes. 4 minutes to download the file and just download. If something happened there, will be a problem. So I can see actually the file is there, so it's working fine. Okay, but let's see other approach to make more with this example. In this example, I'm using Readable Streams to download this file. And actually, I will go further. I will download, I will parse to JSON, I will map fields, and then I will parse again to CSV and see how it works. Okay, I'm just having the same file that I said to you using pipeline as well. I have nothing in my current directory. And see, I'm downloading, but actually it's processing. Actually is sending to my CSV file. And as long as I have the new data, it will pipe out to this file. Man, that's good. That's damn good. This is super nice. Imagine now you can process everything and you can get feedback faster than the other approach. Okay, but let's recap. When we should use streams if you want? Oh, you should use on large streams or video streaming, remote access, multi-processes, or actually HTTP requests you could make actually for this as well. Readable streams are for emitting data such as read file, download file, or pushing manually data. Writable streams are actually for output, so you can save files, show logs, send emails, send to a queue, or send to other processes. And the transform is the middle, is the processing for validation, calculation, and map fields as well. Do not forget to use the streams pipeline. The streams pipeline will be super helpful for you, avoiding a lot of listeners and avoid memory leak as well. And feel the power of Node.js Streams. Don't be afraid. It will be your friend and it will help a lot in your actually daily life. If you want to learn more, I'm just releasing a free course about the content. So you can just go there, subscribe, and I will show you some examples. I will send you more news about this project. All of this talk will be on my website. If you want to take a look right there, it's available. It's for free. You can see other talks I've been doing around the world. And thank you so much for having me. I'm super happy to have you here. This is a super important opportunity for me. If you want to see more of this talk, all my resources are there. My GitHub, my slides code, and whole presentations. I have actually the whole references if you want to. And don't forget to tell me something on Twitter and ping me about what you liked in this talk. So I'm Erick Wendel. Thank you so much for having me again. Hello.
We have a super live. Erick. How to be in different places in one time.